Hello everyone, intuitive and astrologer Lisa Salvatore here, back to do a quick chart analysis for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. in regards to the upcoming transiting energies. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. So I posted a video on July 10th, just a couple of days ago, with a quick analysis on the birth charts and current transits of Joe Biden and Donald Trump. And this was for a particular conjunction or alignment that we have taking place on July 15th. You can find everything in the description box of this video. You can find a link to that video. You can find a link to my website for those of you that were asking about booking a session. You can sign up for my newsletter there. All the things are linked in that description box. All right, so today we're going to focus on Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Many of you asked me to do this, and I want you to know that I do not know much about him at all. I look at this all from the spiritual perspective. I'm concerned with human decency, being a good person, living up to our potential, and that is what I do. That is my journey. This is my life's mission. I'm not going to call it my work because even though it's my job, technically, I love to do it. I like to raise the vibe. So I'm not going to fight with anybody in the comments. So if you don't like me, just scroll on by, or actually troll on by. It's all good. You don't have to agree with me. You want to respectfully disagree with me or with anybody else, that's cool too. But be respectful. I'm not just talking about YouTube, I'm talking about in life. It goes a really long way. And with all the divisiveness going on right now, even more so. Okay, straight to the chart. I researched quite a bit to figure out the right birth time to use for him, and this is the one that I kept coming up with, the 5:32 p.m. Eastern time. It gets a C rating in Astrobank. I don't particularly love to work with C ratings when it comes to Astrobank because they're usually pretty spot on. I like an A or an A+ rating, but we'll take what we can get. At least there's a time, and it seems to be consistently shown on the internet. So I'm going to use it. Remember, I'm going off the cuff here. I'm looking at the chart. I'm telling you what I see, and we're just going to talk about what is upcoming, what I noticed that I thought was quite interesting. I'm not going to go too far into the future because I'll probably come back and do something else when we get closer to the end of the year, because we've got some really gnarly transits coming up at the end of the year that are going to impact all three of these contenders being Donald Trump, Joe Biden, and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Psychically speaking, what I kept getting when I was looking at this chart was the unforeseen opponent. Like, this person is going to come out of left field when the public thinks he's not a part of what's going on. Like, this person might just come back up to the surface in a very powerful way. Again, you deduce your own opinion. I'm not predicting. I'm just telling you what's here. And I guess maybe, yeah, in a way, I'm predicting because I'm telling you what I feel. But I'm giving that to you through the neutral lens of the planets and their energy. So this is his birth chart, which again is static. It doesn't change. We see that he has what we call a cardinal grand cross. This configuration is comprised of squares and oppositions, which are tense aspects. Now, I always say with a grand cross, this is the diamonds are made under pressure energy. People that have a grand cross tend to persevere despite all odds, and they don't always have an easy go. There's heavy karma attached to Grand Cross individuals, but that's not bad. That's not necessarily negative. Now, I know obviously the family tree of RFK, and there is a lot of heavy karma there. And fun fact, RFK Sr. actually has the same birthday as Joe Biden. I thought that was interesting. But anyway, I digress. So he's got this cardinal grand cross, which is, the cardinal energies, the cardinal signs, which are Aries, Capricorn, Libra, and Cancer, they take action. These are not people who rest on their laurels, okay? They're always moving. They're always looking to start things. But again, his chart represents some tension. He's very controversial. He's also been under fire in the past. Again, I don't know his story. I just researched very lightly before I came on here, just to put more context to his astrology. He's got this 6th house stellium right here in Capricorn. He's got Mercury at the 29th degree of Capricorn. He's got the Sun at 27 and Venus at 24. And I'm going to count the North Node at 24 and Chiron, the wounded warrior, here at 22 degrees of Capricorn. That is quite a bit of Capricorn energy in his 6th house of daily life, daily routines, public service, also his own health, his own well-being. So Capricorn, he's driven, he's determined. He's looking to not only make waves, but to prove points in a very big way. The 6th house is also the health house, and he is also very big on the anti-vaccine movement. So that tracks here with all of this 6th house Capricorn energy. When we shoot across the chart, his 12th house, he's got his moon in Cancer, which is a very sensitive moon placement. The moon is ruled by Cancer. It's in a loose conjunction with Uranus here, the great disruptor, the planet of change and revolution, the rebel. He's definitely like that, right? And the South Node's in Cancer, which indicates a lot regarding his last lifetime. I'm not going to get into that. It's a whole nother layer of the onion. But this is a very sensitive individual, moody, Cancer the crab, ruled by the moon, opposite all this Capricorn. So his personal life and his professional life are going to always be under scrutiny. He tries to keep his private life private, but that doesn't always work out so well for him. He's also got Leo rising. Donald Trump has Leo rising as well. I believe his ascendant is 29 degrees though, and RFK's is 6. He's got Jupiter elevated in the 11th house, retrograde in Gemini. He's very polarizing with the public. I'll be honest, I don't really feel like analyzing his chart that much. I'm just going to go straight to the transits because this is where it gets really juicy about why I think he's the unforeseen opponent and that he's going to come back for a bit. Looking at July 15th, which is just a couple of days from now, this is the conjunction that I talked a lot about in that last video regarding Donald Trump and Joe Biden, the Uranus-Algol-Mars conjunction. So before I even point out the obvious, which is that this triple conjunction that's coming up on July 15th, which is already in effect, it's operational right now, that conjunction of Uranus, fixed star Algol, and Mars is in his 10th house of career and public image and reputation, his public standing. But even more than that, Chiron is elevated here right now by transit. Chiron is the wounded warrior in astrology. Chiron talks about a space in our chart where we carry some form of wounds, emotional, physical, spiritual, it could be all of the above. And wherever Chiron is moving through our chart, there are trigger points that are going to come up. There are things that are going to happen. It's what we do with that energy that really matters. And Chiron has just crossed over his midheaven and moved into his 10th house of career. So again, and then we have this conjunction here. So I'm not sure. There could be some sort of public ouch that occurs. Maybe it already has. But he's also got that freight train energy in his 10th house. And if you recall, so did Donald Trump, and Biden had it in his health house. They've all got this shaky energy here. So as of July 15th, Jupiter will be at the 11th degree of Gemini, and RFK's Jupiter is at 17 degrees of Gemini. Now this is interesting because he is about to go into his Jupiter return. Once every 12 years, we all go into our Jupiter return because Jupiter spends 1 year, roughly, in each zodiac sign. And so when your Jupiter comes back to where it was, especially by degree and minute of your natal Jupiter, your birth chart placement, that is when you officially go into your Jupiter return. But technically it starts when Jupiter enters Gemini because that's where his Jupiter is. So he's in his Jupiter return. And with the Jupiter return, Jupiter tends to bestow blessings on us, spiritual protection, but Jupiter is also about expansion. And the thing about Jupiter is he does speak a lot to our political, spiritual, and philosophical views on life and our standpoints and how we move around the world through that lens. It's also very karmic. So, you know, what we reap, we shall sow. So that doesn't necessarily mean that the Jupiter return is going to be especially positive for him all the way through. He may have his moments, but again, there's always a mixed bag of energy with everything. But I'm rooting for him as a person. But this is also happening in the house of the people. This is the house of where we are up on the stage. This is where we're talking to the masses. This is the collective energy. So the public might be very receptive to this individual, especially as we move throughout the next month. Another really important thing to mention is that he's had Pluto grinding on all of his Capricorn placements for years, okay? And Pluto's not done yet because Pluto is going to go back to the 29th degree, and I'm going to show you this in a moment. But he's been going through major transformations. There may even have been some health issues here that have come up. Whether they were public or not, I don't know. But he kind of went under the radar and then he came back. A lot of heat on this person, a lot of heat. He's definitely feeling it. He's also probably feeling very driven and focused to succeed because of that Grand Cross that he's got in this chart, the Cardinal Grand Cross. He's always going to be that way. He's going to always want to beat the odds, defy the odds, against all odds. Okay, now I'm going to move the chart ahead to August 5th because Mercury will station retrograde on August 5th. Now, I know I'm not following the same format that I did with the other video for Trump and Biden, but honestly, I go off the cuff, so I don't script things. So I'm just going with what I feel. So I want to focus more on his upcoming transits prior to the actual election because there's just so much here that I found really interesting, and I'm sure you will too. August 5th, we see Mercury over here at 4 degrees of Virgo. Mercury now stationary retrograde. Mercury rules over communication, information, the media. It's also travel, transportation, many different things. But let's focus on communication and the media here. Words. Mercury's now retrograde. When Mercury stations retrograde, the energy of Mercury tends to go inward a bit. Things kind of take a step back. So, he may come out for a little bit and then go back into his shell, or we may hear something and then it retracts. It depends. When Mercury stations retrograde, it's like it's a time of informational reckoning. You have to be very discerning because communication does get wonky and or misconstrued. And it's in the sign of Virgo, which is all about facts and figures and data and precision. So details are going to be hard to come by. They're going to feel very foggy for this particular retrograde. So I do feel we're going to be hearing a lot of chatter about him, especially that very last week of July and as we move into August. Moving the chart ahead to August 16th, Jupiter hits the 17th degree, right on his natal Jupiter in the 11th house. And it's also here with the part of fortune. And long story short, the part of fortune acts like a second Jupiter. It's just a little bit of an extra layer of protection. And there's a lot more to the lot of fortune in correlation to the moon phases, but maybe that'll be another video for another day. So we have the lot of fortune, the second Jupiter, moving through the 11th house of the collective, of groups, organizations, approaching his natal Jupiter while he's under the Jupiter conjunction, the Jupiter return. And then we also have Mars here by transit, stepping on that pedal a little bit more. And remember, the 11th house is the house of the people. I think there's going to be a lot of chatter regarding him over these next 6 weeks or so. Now, moving the chart ahead to August 18th, we have a spot during the Mercury retrograde that is known as like a bright spot of the retrograde, and it's typically a point of the retrograde cycle where we can receive some form of clarity or an epiphany of sorts. This can be in a big way, this can be in a small way, this could be out on the world stage, information being revealed, something coming to light, something coming to the light of day that may appear to have been hidden for a little while. This is the inferior conjunction of Mercury and the Sun. You can see the Sun here at 26 degrees, 35 minutes of Leo, and Mercury's at 26 degrees, 35 minutes of Leo. This is at 9:58 p.m. Eastern Time. This conjunction occurs to be exact. This is known as Kazemi. Some of you may be familiar with that. Kazemi is an Arabic term for heart of the sun. So essentially, when we have a Kazemi, this is where Mercury passes through the heart of the sun, and spiritually speaking, the properties of Mercury are said to be amplified by the radiance of the sun, by the energy of the sun. The sun, which is life force, gives life to Mercury, which is the communicator, the place of information, the way that we think, the way that we speak. And the interesting thing is that if we pull this one day away, the sun moves into his second house. But the moment of this Kazemi, the conjunction of the sun and Mercury, it's in his first house. First house is public. It's in Leo. He's also a Leo rising. So something can come to light regarding him, about him. We also have Uranus by transit here now at this point, 27 Taurus, in an exact trine to his sun at 27 degrees of Capricorn. And Uranus is also moving toward his Mercury. Expect the unexpected. And this is happening from the 10th house, the public eye, the career, the reputation, to the 6th house here. Again, service, our work, our daily life, our routine. This could be something unexpected, but because we're dealing with a soft aspect between Uranus and the sun, this could be beneficial for him. Again, it could be temporary, but still, something's coming to light. It could just be him, him coming to light. The sun is shining on him at this point. But we can also spin this a different way. Remember, it's about probability, possibility, and potential, right? So just like there's the positive side, there's going to always be the shadow side. And the sun does have a shadow. What's done in the dark always comes to light. Everything comes to light. The good, the bad, the indifferent. So having said that, if we move the chart to August 21st, Mercury is exactly on his Pluto, again in the first house. Mercury conjunct Pluto, especially Mercury retrograde conjunct Pluto, especially in the first house, again, that's public. There's a lot of digging going on, truth coming to the surface, information coming out. But again, we don't know what's fact or fiction because Mercury's retrograde. So we really do need to be discerning, and we just need to go with what we feel. But I would say that this is the time frame, August 20th to August 30th. This is what I feel. This is the time frame where we are going to know more for certain about his standing regarding this election and his position. Here's the thing. Pluto by transit is now at 0 degrees of Aquarius at this point on August 21st, when Mercury retrograde is conjunct his Pluto. By transiting Pluto is still in his 6th house, and even though it's now in Aquarius, it's still pretty close to his sun. It's just about 3 degrees away. Pluto is stationary retrograde right now, and Pluto's getting ready to move back to the 29th degree. Not too far from now, I'll show you. So Pluto to the sun, again, that's transformation. That's power. That could be empowerment, that can be disempowerment. That could be a secret coming up that empowers this individual, or a secret coming out that disempowers this individual. Information coming out that disempowers or empowers. We don't know if it's true or not, it's just what's coming out. But regardless, it is transformative. Moving along to August 28th, we see Mercury is now direct at 21 degrees and 24 minutes of Leo, still quite close to Robert's Pluto, or RFK as everyone calls him. So now Mercury is direct, and he's still digging up information from the underworld. That's Pluto. Pluto's the underworld. That's what's hidden, which hasn't seen the light of day yet. Mercury's digging. Mercury's like, hey, I want to get the good stuff here. And Mercury will pass over his Pluto exact again on September 4th. So again, early September, there's going to be a lot of activity involving surrounding RFK. Moving along to September 2nd. Now Pluto's back at the 29th degree for the last time. This is a very big deal. We are never going to see this again. And it's right on his Mercury. You see all the Mercury-Pluto happening? Mercury-Pluto, Mercury-Pluto. There is no way that this person is either coming into a higher position of power or being completely knocked off, taken down. Either way, this feels like very discombobulated energy, and it's almost like which end is up. Feels very stressful. All of our contenders will be under quite a bit of stress, of course, but even more so at this point. The interesting thing is, with Pluto back at the 29th degree, forgetting RFK for a moment, just in general, this is huge shakeups in the political backdrop of our world. This is big disruptions within politics and within power. But think of it like it's the final go-around, the final curtain call, which is really interesting, kind of liberating, and also very scary because we just don't know. Remember, Pluto is all about stripping away the old to build forth the new. It's the deconstruction to the reconstruction. And during this time frame, he's at the 29th degree, the anaretic degree, so he's really ramped up. We're going to see a lot. We're going to hear a lot. There's going to be a lot of unrest and disruption, but also a lot of change. But that Pluto on his Mercury, but look at this. Transiting Pluto at 29th degree, right on his Mercury at 29th degree in that 6th house. This could also be a health situation, by the way. Let's not discount that. But I feel like this is going to be more about reveals of information, honestly. Revealing of documents, I don't know, something along those lines. I mean, isn't that always the case? But this is all going on at the same time. Pluto and Mercury by natal and transit. Now, if I move the transits to September 4th, Mercury's right on his Pluto. Again, in the 1st house. Pluto is right on his Mercury in the 6th. Okay, there is something public here with him. I know someone in the comments, you repeat yourself, Yes, I repeat myself. But a lot of things in a chart are repetitive. It's to drive the point home, so you see that it's not just one thing. Again, astrology is one big tangent. And I know a lot of you get it. So thank you for that. Oh, but there's more. Let me go back to September 1st because I forgot about Uranus. Uranus stations retrograde on September 1st in a trine to his sun, right before Pluto moves back to the 29th degree. Again, 10th house, 6th house, 1st house. These are public spaces of the chart. These are the cardinal houses. Now remember, he also has the cardinal grand cross. So everything is setting off his cardinal grand cross right now. And that is why there's so much heat and so much tension and focus on this individual, or will be at this point. Again, I'm going from August 20th through September 15th. A lot is going to be in the media regarding RFK. And there's something about him running as an independent, right? He's the rebel, Uranus. Uranus trining his sun, though, so that could actually be beneficial for him at this point. So I was surprised by all of this myself. I've never looked at his chart before. Let's go ahead and look at his progress chart real quick. Right now, as we speak, Venus is elevated at 22 degrees of Aries, right on his midheaven. So he's protected here for now. Venus moves very slowly in the progress chart. She only moves about 1 degree per year. So she's hanging out right on his midheaven. And he's going to have this here through the November 5th date. And what's interesting is that Venus will progress into the 10th house of career and public image, reputation, etc. in October. It's still on his midheaven, so that's another layer of protection here. Or protection, what I mean by protection is, by the public. He's being loved by his people, put it that way. But whoever adores him and supports him, they're really going to be adoring him and supporting him at this point. Another thing that's really interesting, going back to right now as I'm recording this, is that his progressed moon is at the 29th degree of Capricorn. When we're at the 29th degree of the progressed moon, we're starting to feel the effects of the next progression. It's a turning point, which is even more significant because that progressed moon has been hanging around all his Capricorn for the last 2 years, and it's still right on his Mercury. And in traditional astrology, the moon is the people. So he's getting ready for quite a turnover as we speak. His progressed moon will move into Aquarius on August 4th, right around the time of Mercury stationary retrograde. Now going back to Venus for a moment, because Venus is currently powerful here in his progressions, but Venus is still in an operational square to his natal Uranus and moving toward a square to his nodal axis. South node here in Cancer, the North node over here in Capricorn. This is his destiny. This is what's going on. This is what's happening behind the scenes and out in public. And Venus will square his nodes exact in 2025. And then it kind of gets progressively worse for him transit-wise as we get toward the middle and end of 2025 and moving into 2026. Having said all of that, psychically speaking, I feel that he's going to have his moment, his moments. Things are going to get very pronounced for him over the upcoming weeks with a very strong focus on the end of August into the beginning of September. Think like August 20th through September 15th. A lot of wild cards here, and there's a lot coming up to the surface, a lot of information, a lot of reveals, not just regarding him, but everyone in general. We see it, it's happening. But one thing is certain, yes, he's controversial, but he perseveres. So take whatever information that resonates with you and make your own assessment. Much love, take really good care of yourself. Remember that there is a higher divine order to everything of this earth. We are all energy. We are all souls here having a human experience. Remember that. It is what's in here that truly counts. It's how you move about your everyday. It's the words you say to yourself. It's the love that you share to yourself, of course, first and foremost, and to others. Above all else, please remember, especially as Pluto is back at that 29th degree for the final time, from August 4th until November when Pluto enters Aquarius for good, it is going to be tumultuous. You can guarantee it. You know that song? You ain't seen nothing yet. Yeah, I kind of think that's where we're at. We have to keep our sense of humor. I don't mean to laugh because it's not funny, but we have to keep our sense of humor. And we have to rise above. Be discerning and trust yourself. Again, take really good care, and you can find all of my information in the description box below.